Hey, welcome back to the JohnRx Broadcast, and today I don't have a script, so I don't really know exactly what I'm doing. I've recorded this a few times now, just because, yeah. And I keep saying and I don't know, and that's a problem for me. I'm gonna be working on it, but if I say that a lot in this video, I am sorry. That is because I don't have a script and I don't have a exact written flow of speech, I guess. But, that's something I gotta work on, so we're gonna try and figure that out as we go. Um, but thanks for tuning in. I'm a democratic socialist. I believe that the government should work for us and not for corporations. And yeah, let's just get started. So, I have three things to cover today. First is the Utah primary midterm election. There's been some wildfires in Utah as well, and then I'm gonna cover Trump's reflecting pool because that has also been a very interesting story as of recently. So, first of all, the Utah primary midterm elections just happened, and if you look at it, we are kind of cooked. So, first of all, in District 1, there was no competition on the Republican side, so Riley Owens went straight to, the general. But on the Democratic side, there were four different candidates. Off the top of my head, I can name two of them. I'm not in District 1, so I didn't follow it that closely at the end of the day. But it was Ben McAdams and Nate Bluen were kind of the two top contenders. I was kind of hoping that Nate Bluen would win, but he didn't. It is what it is. We're not gonna get a progressive in the very first time we get a seat in Utah. A Democratic seat in Utah. We'll take a Democrat, even if he is a corporate Democrat, barely a Democrat. It is what it is. We'll take it, I guess. And then in District 2, Blake Moore won his primary, and yeah. And he's going to be going up against Democrat Peter Crosby in the November election. And then in District 3, Celeste Malloy won her primary and will be facing Kent Udell in the primary in November. Or not in the primary, but you know what I mean. In the election in November. And then in District 4, it was, well, there wasn't really any competition on either side, so it's just going to be Mike Kennedy and Johnny Larson, as it was like a month ago. No real change there. Utah is on fire. We got a lot of things going for us. We got a booming tech industry, we got a lot of people, it's pretty here, but at the same time, Utah is literally on fire. There have been 6 wildfires roaming across the state this week, and so far have burned over 94,000 acres of land, which is just crazy to me. Utah doesn't, well, that's a bit of a lie. We do get fires, but I swear I've never in my life seen 6 wildfires burning across the state at the same time. It's a little bit crazy to me. Five of the, if I remember right, 5 of the fires were man-made, caused fires. Shame on you, 5 people who started that. Shame on you. And then the last one was naturally caused. Oh well, stuff happens. It is what it is. But the names of the 6 fires that have been burning across Utah are Hastings, Bonneville, Iron, Tower, Cottonwood, and Sawmill. And they've kind of just been, I don't know. They've kind of been mostly in like the central and western parts of the state. So if you live around there, I'm sorry, you're not going to be breathing good for a while. Oh well. Like, it's just rough here in Utah, especially because of all the mountains. It traps a lot of the smoke and pollution. That's why we have such a bad pollution problem in the winters, is because the mountains just trap all of the junk that, is produced. And, it's doing the same thing now. So all the smoke is just kind of hanging out, And the past couple of days, it's been just very dreary, very kind of depressing outside. And, it's just because literally everything is covered in smoke. It's just dark outside. It's been raining ash for a couple of days now. Like, yeah, you step outside and you're walking in ash. Oh well, it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, whatever, dude. And then the last topic I want to cover is the reflecting pool. Because it has just turned into such an interesting story. You look at it, and it's just like another one of Trump's vanity projects. Who cares? He's doing this. He's doing the Arc de Trump. He's doing blah blah blah. He's doing et cetera, et cetera. This is just like another one of his things. You would think. No, it's turned out to be a whole lot more. I'll be honest. So it first started when Trump decided to fix the reflecting pool. He dumped $16 million into a project, gave some random ass company the contract, and was like, hey, just do this for me. Said company probably used the cheapest equipment possible, the cheapest materials possible, because, well, it's already broken. The paint job is already broken. It's already ripping up. It's just hot garbage. For some reason, I don't even know, in like a propaganda piece, they decided to drive over the pool before they filled it back in. They had just put the paint on and then they drove over it. Why would you put a 10,000 pound vehicle on a piece of paint? Of course it's gonna crack. Are we serious right now? Like, are we serious right now? It's just like, wow. And we're shocked it's cracking. We're shocked it's breaking. Like, really, guys? But, we drove over it in some sort of propaganda piece. It looks cool. A couple of days later, after they fill it back in, the pool turns green. The pool turns green because of algae. The entire big thing about the reflecting pool was painting it blue. Painting it American flag blue for the 4th of July. And now it's green. Dude, it's green. It's actually so funny. It's so funny. He wasted $16 million on a paint job that didn't even work because the pool is now green because it's covered in algae. And, Trump is crashing out about this and claiming that it's like bioterrorists or something that, are dumping chemicals into the water to make the algae grow. So in exchange, Donald Trump decided to dump chemicals into the water to kill the algae. Because allegedly, people were dumping blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they needed to get rid of the algae. So they're dumping chemicals into it. And it's just kind of, boy. Like it, they're just dumping chemicals into the water in hopes that it'll kill the algae. Little did they know, or I guess they didn't care because they probably did know. Ducks, swans, and geese use the reflecting pool to drink, to bathe out of, to, swim in, to do whatever. They like hanging out in the reflecting pool. This is a known fact. Those same chemicals that they dumped in to kill the algae are now killing the ducks. There's been a picture floating around for a day or two now of a dead duckling floating in the water. And I think that's very sad. But at the same time, it's a very good reflection of kind of just America in general, if you think about it. Donald Trump wastes a bunch of money on something that doesn't really help us and then promptly, makes it worse and kills stuff while doing it, And I think the interesting thing is, as well, they've made it illegal to touch the reflecting pool because they've been arresting literally anyone who's touched the the reflecting pool. They've been detaining people, claiming that, people who have been like touching the paint at the bottom that's kind of chipped and floated up because a car drove over it. Um, they're claiming that them touching it was like them ripping it out and, arresting them for that, for vandalism, and then, charging them with terrorism. What the hell? We're charging people with terrorism over touching a body of water? Huh? We're doing what now? Like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it's insane. You know, we're just arresting people for touching it, Like, it's insane. Trump's genuinely so convinced that Al Qaeda, algae, Al Qaeda, Al Qaeda, Al Qaeda. We're gonna work on that, But the algae terrorists, the algae terrorists, they dumped the algae into the pool, and now they're arresting people for touching the pool because terrorism. Yay! What the hell is going on in America, dude? Genuinely, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. It's really stupid, but it's the country I live in. I love it here. At the end of the day, I love the people here. I hate the government. I fucking hate the government. But I love America. I love the people of America. And at the end of the day, I really just hope for the best for us, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're arresting people for touching a body of water and calling that terrorism. If you agree, like, comment, and subscribe because, I'm covering topics like this semi-regularly. Thank you for watching. I don't know if I'm going to do this unscripted type video again, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.